Hey, welcome to part 4 of our EX3 Ultra Clean, and we're just going to do a couple last bit kind of effects on here. I'll show you how to do the gradient overlay if you need to add any gradients, and we'll talk about bringing in images, which you've done before, so that's not a big deal, but just a couple things. Let's say, for example, on this Ultra Clean text, you wanted a gradient on it. Now you could do that very easily in Photoshop by adding a gradient overlay. That's one of the layer styles. So if I go in my Ultra Clean text, and I go to layer and I'll go to layer style gradient overlay, what comes up first, now it'll be black and white to first. Now I'm going to adjust the angle so it's kind of dark on the top, and you might have to adjust this a little bit so it's dark on the top and kind of light on the bottom. It's using black and white right now, and that's a linear gradient, and I may not want black and white, so that's okay. But what you do, and it doesn't really give you instruction on here to how to do this in Photoshop, so it's kind of, if you haven't done this, it's kind of odd because you're like, where do I change the color? But actually, if you just click right on the middle of the gradient, it'll bring up some sample colors that are up here, some existing gradients, or you can actually create your own and adjust the black one. So I'm going to go here and make one that goes blue to white. So I could click on here, and if you double click, you could go find a blue color. And I'm going to choose a blue color. You can see it changing in the background. I'll make it a little darker blue, and I'll hit OK, and I'll hit OK again. So there's a blue and white gradient if you wanted to change that so it was blue and something else. I'm not sure what else will look good on here, but you know, let's say you wanted blue and orange. Let me make sure I go to this end here. I'll double click where the white is, and maybe I'll make that orange. Now I don't know how this will look because it probably won't mix nicely. You might have to put another one in between. And I could, if I move that, I could see it doesn't mix nicely, so you could click in the middle here and actually make one that's like white or yellow or something. You could do something that's like really kind of bright in the middle. That might help it a little bit. It still might give you a little bit of a green color. Yeah, that doesn't look good at all. But anyway, once you hit OK, OK, there's your gradient overlay. If you don't like it, which I do not because it takes away the whole effect that I was working with, but if you don't like it, just turn it off. Or get rid of it. And let's say, for example, the background, this orange background, it's just called box outline right now. I'm going to go to gradient overlay. Now right now it's doing black and white, and it's doing linear, which is what it'll do by default. I'm going to change this to radial, so it'll kind of get now it has black in the center and white on the outside, and I'm going to click right on the gradient, and if I want it white on the inside, I could double click here and just go to white. I could choose that from the corner, and then double click over here. Maybe I want to go orange. Make that kind of a brighter orange, and I'll make that orange, and I'll hit OK, and OK again, and there it is. Now also, if you need to move that around, if I go back into the overlay when I'm in here, it'll actually let you, I think when you're in here, it'll let you move it around. You can move that highlight around. So if you wanted that highlight to be like, you know, over here underneath the sun or something, or you know, if it didn't look right in the middle, or wherever you had it, you can move it around just by kind of grabbing it while you have this open. And again, it's a little practice. It's not the easiest thing to kind of figure out. Matter of fact, when I hit OK, I don't really like it because it doesn't really help my whole effect. So you know, you can get rid of it, or you can kind of right click on effects and just do clear layer style. Clear layer style will get rid of it, and then you can get rid of those effects. But anyway, that's gradient overlay. And last thing I'll do here is I'll just go to Chrome. Now I looked up some shirts here. So here's a white shirt, and it is actually kind of transparent. But if you copy image, what'll happen? You'd actually probably want to save it as a ping and then place it in as a ping to keep the transparency. But if you copy image and you go to Photoshop and you paste it, it's actually going to paste it in with a box around it. So you may want to download it as a ping. But even if you have it here, here's my white shirt, even if you have it like this, as long as there's enough of a background on it, you could use your magic wand and just click on these outer areas and hit delete. You don't even need a mask or anything. You can just delete these areas here, and now it's kind of transparent. I'll do Command D to deselect. So now I could use this white shirt. You could even go to image adjustments, levels. If you really want to make it bright, you could really brighten up that shirt. Now, if you go too much, you're going to lose kind of any detail in it. So I'll make it a little more contrasty. I'll hit OK. You could scale it. I'll rotate it a little bit, and there's one white shirt. You should probably name this. And now maybe Maybe you want to look up like something else, like a blue shirt or something. So I could go back to, I'll go back to Chrome and I'll just check out like a blue shirt. Here's something blue. I'll just bring this in. I'll copy image and I'll go back to Photoshop. I'll paste it and I'll make it a little bit smaller because I know it's going to be smaller. I'll hit return, and then if I want to use my magic wand, I could just use that to get rid of the background. I'll hit delete. Now it's not the nicest looking color. I'll scale it. Should have probably waited to scale it, but I'll move it here and rotate a little bit so it's like a partner. So you have kind of a boy-girl shirt combo. Now they're behind everything, so I'll have to move their layers up. I might want to tweak my colors a little bit on that blue blouse layer. I might want to go to image adjustments, go to hue saturation. Might want to kick up the saturation a little, make it just a little brighter. I don't know if that's doing anything. There, you got to go way up to get it a little brighter. And I'll put that there. Now these layers, I'll call this one blue shirt. And I'll call the other one white shirt. And then I'll move these things up above my pop dots so they're kind of in front of everything. So they kind of stand out. And again, you could put drop shadows on here. You could go to your layer style and do anything you want. You could put glows on them. You could put drop shadows on them. And I'll increase my size, and I'm using like 10 and 10 for my size and distance, and turning down, each time I'm turning down my opacity down to like 50. That way if I like that one, I can just copy the effect. I could do copy, and they use these names, effects and layer styles, interchangeably, which is confusing. But I'll copy layer style now, and I'll go to my blue shirt layer, and I'll paste layer style. And there's a drop shadow on there. So they have my shirts here. I could move them around. I can hold shift and kind of move them together. I could scale them down a little bit. I could kind of crop them off if I want them cropped off. You know, I could add something else here. I could add another tagline. If you look at some of my other samples, here's some of the other samples. You can throw some underwear in there, throw some other taglines: shockingly clean, super cleaning crystals, it's clean. Throw as much as you want in there. Here's it's clean again. Here's new that's on here. So anything else that you want to put on here, even cleaner than before, really clean. You know, you could really go with the clean thing on here. But here's some ideas that we did another time. Again, it's just a little practice to work with the packaging kind of elements, the shadows, anything. If you look in a supermarket, you're going to see a lot of really bright colors for cleaning. You're going to see kind of bold images, bold colors, high contrast, orange and blue, things like that. So, and all these things, we're going to put shadows, outlines, things to make them stand out. In some cases, we used kind of faded out, semi-transparent versions in the background just to add a little more dynamic look to it. So have some fun with it, because it's not a real package, but we're just kind of exploring with some of the package design techniques. So this one's still a little boring, could use a little kick in some of the color. Even this orange color could probably be kicked up a little bit. So I could certainly have some fun and adjust this a little bit. I'd want to crop this area off the back. So if I'd want to kind of start in the corner here, if I want to crop this a little differently, I could bring it in a little bit and just do an image crop. That'll get rid of any extra that was on there. I'll make it a little bit smaller. So that's all you're going to be doing here. You might want to throw another product, another tagline in here. That's it for part 4. Have fun working on this.